think it's a demonstrable evidence that through society's demographics that being white has societal privileges that being black does not. But
we can talk about how that manifests, because that's
I'm also interested in what you just said now, is that you would stand next to anyone who has this. So, Mr. Shapiro, my question to you is...
You're watching Capitolstarz. This one's packed with strong opinions, sharp arguments, and a few surprising moments of agreement. So let's break it down. Before we start, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss the next breakdown of major political and cultural debates like this one. Ben Shapiro steps in with a fiery yet reasoned response. He says, look, if we're talking about real instances of racism, he's all in to fight them side by side with anyone. But when people use the term white privilege as a blanket statement, he argues it becomes less about facts and more about identity.
Mr. Shapiro, you talked about white privilege. And just this week, I had a conversation with Rachel Lazar, who's done some work, a Jewish American woman who's done some work on this area, as well as having extensive conversations with Dr. Greg Parks of Wake Forest University, who's also talked quite a bit about critical race theory. And it's my understanding that white privilege is not telling individuals that they cannot speak, but it is a term for societal privilege that individuals have as a benefit of their white skin. And I don't think that, and I think universities would be remiss to then say that because you're white, you're not allowed to say anything that's critical of white people. I didn't know that white privilege actually went into that sphere. My understanding is it's just, and the issue is that white privilege makes people uncomfortable to talk about the societal privilege that they have.
Well, to me, what I say on campuses all the time is if you want to cite instances of racism that we can all find and fight together, that's something that I am more than willing to stand next to you and fight, because that's obviously stuff that we should fight together. But when you just say that there is a white privilege out there in the ether and that by dint of birth your skin color generates for you an advantage, what you're really saying to people is that your view is less valuable because you have not experienced what I've experienced. And that is an identity argument, that's a character argument, that's not a rational political argument that can actually be taken on in any way. It's more of a cudgel and a club than it is an attempt to open a discussion.
Well, I think it's a demonstrable evidence that through society's demographics that being white has societal privileges that being black does not. But
we can talk about how that manifests, because that's
I'm also interested in what you just said now, is that you would stand next to anyone who has this. So, Mr. Shapiro, my question to you is, for Ms. Dunston, the tying the noose around the campus and writing messages that target African-American young students, would you consider that hate speech, and then would you stand next to her and fight for her?
As I say, I would. This is the first I'm hearing about it, honestly. But
really,
yeah. But from hearing about it, maybe because it's local. I mean, I'm from LA. But in any case, I'm more than happy to stand alongside her and fight whatever group was responsible for this. Not only more than happy. I mean, you're talking about the alt-right. Again, I was the #1 target of anti-Semitic harassment from the alt-right last year. So I'm more than happy to do all that. And I think there's one more distinction that has to be made. When we talk about cases like Taylor's, they're horrific, and the administration is siding with Taylor. Okay, the administration is doing the right thing by Taylor, or trying to do the right thing by Taylor, as they should be. And I think that we need to make a distinction between cases where the administration is actively participating in the suppression of speech and cases in which the administration is trying to do the right thing in order to punish people for application of crime.
According to Shapiro, saying someone's opinion matters less because of their skin color turns the debate from a rational conversation into a personal attack. He calls it a cudgel, not a conversation. He argues there's a difference between punishing actual hate crimes or harassment and suppressing speech just because it's unpopular. It's a strong close, and one that leaves both sides with something to think about. At the end of the day, this exchange wasn't just about Ben Shapiro or white privilege. It was about how we talk to each other in a divided world. Do we use identity as a bridge to understanding, or as a wall to shut others out? No matter which side you lean toward, conversations like this one are exactly what we need. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. What do you think about Shapiro's take on white privilege and free speech?